Reasonable versus absolute assurance, strategic English for boards. Welcome. Today we're tackling language for assurance in professional settings. Think audits, compliance, cybersecurity, and ESG. In these spaces, boardrooms and regulators expect precision. A single word can raise or reduce perceived risk. The way you phrase findings can protect or damage your credibility and trust. Will sharpen the difference between reasonable and absolute assurance and give you ready-to-use lines that sound confident without overpromising. If you communicate risk well, you help leaders act wisely, avoid legal pitfalls, and keep your reputation strong. Let's make your wording both clear and defensible. Here's the key distinction. Reasonable assurance means a high level of confidence, grounded in evidence and professional judgment. But it's not perfect. There's still a small chance something was missed. Absolute assurance means 100% certainty, zero doubt, zero error. Essentially impossible outside mathematics. In governance, absolute is rarely achievable because systems change, people make errors, and data has limits. So aim for strong, evidence-backed language that signals rigor without pretending to guarantee outcomes. Knowing this difference helps you set realistic expectations and avoid risky promises. What does reasonable assurance look like in practice? It's evidence-based, risk-focused testing. You target areas with higher exposure, use sampling, and evaluate controls. It acknowledges inherent limitations like human error, evolving threats, and incomplete data. And it uses cautious, measurable language, terms like high confidence, within the defined scope, or based on the procedures performed. You're showing you tested what mattered most with professional rigor, while being honest about what you couldn't test or guarantee. This balance builds credibility and aligns with regulatory expectations. Equip your reports and presentations with phrases that project confidence without overreach. Based on procedures performed, signals your conclusion flows from documented work. We obtained reasonable assurance that states a clear, high-confidence outcome without implying perfection. No issues identified within the scope clarifies your finding applies to what you actually tested. You can add specifics within the period reviewed, given the data available, or subject to stated assumptions. These phrases keep you protected, precise, and persuasive in front of executives and auditors alike. Steer clear of absolute language that invites legal and reputational risk. Never say guarantee, ensure, or prove. They imply zero risk and total certainty. Don't suggest perfect coverage with lines like, all systems are secure, or nothing can go wrong. Instead, replace absolutes with probability terms. Highly likely, low residual risk, consistent with policy, or within tolerance. This shift keeps your statements truthful, defensible, and aligned with how assurance actually works. Strong confidence, not promises of perfection. Credibility grows when you define your boundaries. State the scope, period, and data sources so readers know what you examined. Explain sampling, sample size, selection method, and why it's appropriate. Be explicit about assumptions. For example, reliance on management's data or third-party attestations. Note exclusions, systems, locations, controls not tested, and external dependencies like service providers or data pipelines. This transparency prevents misunderstanding and makes your conclusion stronger because the audience sees exactly where your assurance applies and where it does not. When challenged, Keep your language steady and precise. Reframe absolutes. We can offer high confidence based on the work performed, but not absolute certainty. Quantify where possible. Use ranges, thresholds, or confidence levels to anchor your position. For example, defect rate below 1% with 95% confidence. If pressed for guarantees, commit to evidence, not promises. We'll expand testing of high-risk areas and share the results. This approach shows expertise, protects you from overreach, and reassures stakeholders that decisions are grounded in data. Remember, aim for high confidence, not perfection. Be explicit about limits and scope so your audience understands where your conclusions apply. Use disciplined wording that reflects evidence and risk. Model sentence you can adapt. We have reasonable assurance, given the scope and evidence, but cannot provide absolute assurance. This line is clear, professional, and safe. Use it in reports, emails, and presentations to set expectations, maintain trust, and keep your language aligned with governance standards.